Hi everyone. So today we're going to be talking about how an action potential is basically set. So what we have to understand is a couple of concepts. First, the resting potential, which is going to be negative 70 millivolts, and then what makes it reach the point where it depolarizes, right? Depolarization means it becomes more positive, right? The cell becomes more positive. And for the cell, in this case the neuron, to be more positive, it has to reach threshold, which is at negative 55. So a stimulus reaches at resting potential. If it reaches threshold, it goes in all or nothing policy. So if we reach negative 55, it goes through the action potential. If it does not, it does not go through. So it doesn't matter how big or small the stimulus is. If it reaches threshold, depolarization, meaning that the cell will become more positive, definitely will happen. And then there's going to be a peak action potential. And then from there, I just want to note, though, that in the depolarization process, that's where the Na plus channels are open, right? Allowing Na plus to enter and making it more positive, right? That's the depolarization process. And then we have a peak action potential. And at that peak action potential, the K plus channels open, and K plus leaves the cell, right? And while this also happens, while the K plus channels open, the Na plus channels actually close. So this is the repolarization part. And at the point where the membrane actually becomes more negative than the resting potential, that's the point where we call it hyperpolarization. The reason why it becomes hyperpolarized is because K plus ions continue to leave, making it more negative, and it becomes in a refractory period. And there's two different refractory periods. There's the relative refractory period and an absolute refractory period. Relative refractory period is the idea that a strong enough stimulus can make another action potential, but absolute refractory period, there's no possibility in that. And when it comes to how the hyperpolarization goes back to the resting membrane, the K plus channels eventually close, right? And then the Na plus, K plus transporter pumps end up restoring the membrane potential. So those are basically the steps of how an action potential is conducted.